Hello. Let me tell you about the reading at John Jay College of Criminal Justice. Listen to this. This is a play that dramatizes the humanitarian side of Jackie Robinson, who gave his time to help young people in their quest for social change, helped young people avoid negative influences in poverty stricken areas, and created jobs for young people in the civil rights movements as needed. The Jackie Robinson That I Knew, written by Professor Angeline Butler. Angeline Butler was a very successful performer. Angeline Butler is an educator and a civil rights activist. Professor Butler currently teaches at the John Jay College of Criminal Justice.
Special to me, and it's like after he died, I was compelled to write about it. Right, in 72. I was, because of, my strong tie to him, I was compelled to express my feelings about him. So I went to Rachel, his wife, and I told her I wanted to do a book on her and Jackie, and she said that she was too close to it at that point to do anything like that. But then she met me for 13 lunches informally, and we kind of talked and shared things, and from that grew a play which was a epic poetical piece project I did over at the Richard Allen Center for Culture and Art, which was right in front of Lincoln Center. It was a beautiful space. Yeah, Bill Henry Douglas played Jackie Robinson. Anyway,
So this in part is the continuation of that.
yeah, absolutely. The poetical character in this play is based upon the poetical character I wrote for that play. I'm going to pick that project up again because Septima Poinsett Clark, she is the mother of the civil rights movement with the citizenship schools.
Oh.
Okay, and I knew her 30 years. Okay, just like I knew Jackie over 30 years. Thousands of us all of a sudden went to jail behind sitting in the South.
What did your parents think about your activities?
My parents, they didn't know what to do. And he pastored 3 churches. I don't know how he did all those things, but he pastored Daughter Zion Baptist Church and the Pleasant Grove Baptist Church, and then there was the St. Mark Baptist Church in the city of Columbia. But the other 2 churches, he had been at very long periods, and they were rural churches. Daughter Zion was the one he was at the longest, I think maybe 49 years. But I was a member of the Daughter Zion Baptist Church. What happened, 2 weeks later, they rearrested us, okay?
The whole group?
Yeah, we had the first arrest was only $50. It was trespassing and loitering at those 5 and dime stores. But the second arrest was ordered by the governor, and it was conspiracy to obstruct trade and commerce, and it was $500 fine. So imagine in 1960, a black parent coming up with a $500 fine, and their students are going to Tennessee A&I only paying $200-something a year.
And who bailed you people out?
That's what I want to tell you. That girl I was telling you that was sitting at my counter, Maxine Walker, she had also a brother, Matthew Walker, who was also arrested across the street, like in Walgreens or up the street in Woolworths or up the street in Harvey's department. What happened was, overnight, Dr. Matthew Walker, who was head of the Department of Surgery at Meharry Medical School, across the street from Fisk University, he raised $500,000 to get us out of jail. The next morning he brought it. We just put that in the past, and then we moved on with our other activities like voter registration. And
How did you meet him?
I met him when I was in jail. I was 17 years old on the 23rd floor of the Dade County Jail.
He came to jail to see
He came to jail to see about us because the charge was ejection of undesirable guests, which is a misdemeanor, and it's a mandatory sentence of 6 months in jail. No one had given us that one. They gave us the conspiracy one in Nashville, but they didn't give us, we didn't go to jail for it. It was in the courts, right? But this one right here was mandatory 6 months in jail. And so Jackie was very concerned about that because he, had a lot of jail experiences himself. I don't know if you know that, but,
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, at 24 years old, he was in the military, and he was on a military bus, and they had said there'd be no discrimination on military facilities, okay? And what happened was he was sitting on the bus in one of the forward seats with a friend's wife who looked white. And the bus driver, because Jackie was very black, came back to Jackie and asked him to move back to the back. And he wouldn't move. So they arrested him and they charged him 6 counts, okay? It took
While
about a
in the
year
military?
to yeah, in the military. And the bus, he was court-martialed, okay? There's a whole movie about that. But anyway, I was talking to H.B. Barnum, who used to do all of the arrangements for Aretha Franklin. And I was telling him about Jackie, being arrested at 20. He said, that's not the only time Jackie Robinson's been in jail. He said Jackie Robinson was in jail when he was a teenager because he lived in Pasadena and they only had one day a week that the guys could swim in the pool. The black people could swim in the pool. So he and 2 other friends decided they want to swim on another day. So they went on another day and they went and got in the pool and they were arrested for that. And now today, that's the Jackie Robinson Park. He came down to see us. That's what the play's about. He came down to see us. And,
that's what the play's about?
Yeah, that's what the play's about.
We're anxious to hear. And we're anxious to see.
So
Thanks
I don't want to give away the story.
No.
The thing is that from that point on, he stayed in my life until he died. Okay? And he stayed in Priscilla's life until he died. And he stayed in Patricia's life until he died. And those of us who were in the North, any help that we needed, all we had to do was call his Murray Hill number and leave our name and number, and he would call us back. And
will there be a
us
showing of this reading or play for the public in
No.
the future?
No, as far as I know, this is it.
Why?
I don't know. I haven't made any plans. I take one day at a time. My chairperson,
But it should be
Teresa Booker, asked me, would you like to do something, because she needed something to be done because nobody's doing anything because of COVID.
Right.
So I decided, I was talking in my class, and 3 classes that I teach here, and I was asking them if they knew Jackie Robinson. About 6 hands went up, and I said, oh, wait a minute. Now, this is really something. That's a disgrace. They don't even know who Jackie Robinson is.
It is.
They don't know who Septimore Poinsett Clark is. They know Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King, and they might know Thurgood Marshall because of Brown versus Board of Education. But that's the extent. These young people, they don't know their history. They don't know about Bloody Sunday. They don't know about Mississippi Summer. They don't know about students who went to jail in this country to change things for them. They just know that they're in these seats, and I tell them, I said, you wouldn't have multicultural studies today if it wasn't for the student movement of the 60s. We shut down San Francisco State. We shut down Columbia University behind the fact that they had no inclusion in their curriculum of ethnic studies. We changed it.
Yes. Professor?
And now people are trying to get it changed back.
I want to hear what's happening today, and we have to look for the future.
Well,
to see
what's happening today is some marvelous people have joined me to interpret this, including Laura and Chenana, and we have professional actors with faculty members, Dr. Ernest Lee, and we have the very famous actor Eric Coleman is playing Jackie Robinson.
Excellent.
And he's a producer, director, community worker. Eric has, been here a long time, and he's been working all those years in the arts. And then Dr. Ernest Lee, who is working very hard at John Jay to get students into graduate school. He's associate director of his department. And then we have Bazir Mchawi, who has a program every Thursday night called Education for New Generation, or Education. It's on WBAI at like 7:30. Education, I can't remember the exact title of it, but he's playing our poetical character.
Excellent.
And then we have Mustafa, who is doing our tech for us, one of my African students in my class. So we have a wonderful cast, and we have some young people, and Willow's been doing a great job. She's one of my students. And it's going to be a great day.
Well, thank you. Much success.
I do one day at a time. If somebody's interested in taking this project somewhere else, then I'm going to talk to them about it.
Absolutely.
Already, University of South Carolina, which is honoring me the 16th and 17th of March. I've already got my ticket. I'm flying to South Carolina for 5 days.
Excellent.
And
congratulations.
they are doing, they want to do this project next year, their college. And it's written as an educational vehicle, so it's only 45 minutes. And, you know, it works perfectly in schools and this kind of stuff, so there's no reason that if people want to do it,
Well, I can
all they have
see
to do
it.
is ask me, I'll send them a script.
I can see it on stage.
It's an extension and a beginning of other things, correct?
Yeah, I mean, number one, she's a living piece of history. Definitely. So I think John Jay is so lucky to have her, so fortunate to have her. And then for her to come back, everything she does, she puts all of her heart and soul into it. So I've worked with her on events behind the scenes, on other events, and this time she's asked me to kind of be in the forefront, which is not usually my nature, even though I teach here. But I was very happy to do it. I think this is a really good play. I think it's creative. It's timely. A lot of people have only heard of Jackie Robinson just, oh, he broke the color line, but they don't know that he was actively involved in the civil rights movement also. So I think it's, you know, something that we can do to educate people, especially in the environment that we're on now in terms of the whole argument about learning about African American history. So I think this is a valuable piece that would, you know, is a very educational piece. I think that a lot of people will learn from.
Don't you see that you could take it to the stage? You can take it to a bigger forum.
Oh.
That would be fantastic.
I think definitely. I think both as an educational event, I think it works in terms of education, but it also works in terms of a broader audience. I love the way the staged is. I mean, it gives you, I guess, license to use it in a lot of different types of spaces more creatively. It's staged very creatively the way that Professor Butler has staged the play.
Well, I hope to see you in the future again
All right.
with a bigger role and a bigger stage.
I don't know about that, but I've enjoyed doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Barbara Cassidy,
Hello.
this must be a wonderful moment for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to work with Angeline, so excited, and I mean, she's amazing, her life is amazing, and this is really just a unique opportunity for me just to help out however I can.
Oh, it's not to help out. It's a mutual effort that's being realized today, done. You have many chores here, don't you?
While you're
Administration.
doing that, I'm going to go to the
Go ahead. You're an administrator in the anthropology department.
Yes, so that's my day job, so to speak. So I'm an administrator here, and I'm also teaching as an adjunct. I have a program here with Shauna Trinch called Seeing Rape, where we study sexual violence, and students write plays that we put up at the Gerald Lynch Theater, which is coming up next month. And I'm also a playwright, so that's...
Congratulations, we have a lot to talk about
Yeah.
in the next meeting, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, I love seeing you. Congratulations.
Thank you. I love seeing you too.
Oh my God. Tell me about this play, what you feel for it.
Well, this is really a very interesting piece about Jackie Robinson. Now, I was familiar with Jackie Robinson, of course, because I'm a baseball fan. I come from a family of baseball fans, but I was not a Dodger fan. When I was young, I loved the Yankees. I loved Joe DiMaggio and, I can't think of it.
Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth, yes, right. Thurman Munson.
And how did you bump into Jackie Robinson? I knew.
I knew Angeline from doing some cabaret shows with her, and she had contacted me about this piece she was doing about Jackie Robinson and the other things he did. Among them, he worked, was an official at Chock full of Nuts. And you might not remember, but when I first came to New York in the 70s, Chock full of nuts was a wonderful
Oh, I remember.
restaurant.
I remember.
They had wonderful donuts and cream cheese and on nut bread sandwiches. It was a wonderful,
Place to
wonderful
go
place.
and to
Place to
eat.
go that was reasonable. And so he was part of that company. Now, I never knew that.
I never do. Oh my gosh.
So I'm learning all kinds of things about him and how kind and generous a man he was. So
Here you are.
here I am.
And what are you playing? What are you
I'm
reading?
playing the manager of the restaurant in Miami Beach that throws out all of the black sit-in college
yes.
students.
Yes.
So,
Oh my God, you're the bad girl here.
well, I'm a bad girl, but you know, I'm trying to keep my job and I'm following orders, and this is the policy of the state of Florida, and it's the policy of the restaurant manager. So I'm in the position of, what is it? Following the rules, or making everybody follow the rules, or enacting the law. You know, I'm the front person, so I'm the one you're gonna get angry with. I
Well,
guess.
we'll see you later.
Okay.
Bye, Laurel. Great
Bye,
to see you,
Carl.
darling.
And now, the Jackie Robinson that I knew.
A true story which begins at the 1960 Core Summer Interracial Action Institute. Concept, drama, dialogue, and poetry, designed and written by Angeline Butler. Scene 1. The time. Later years, 1980. Priscilla Stevens, Patricia Stevens, Angeline Butler, or Angel, are in a Miami garden, remembering their
Many thousands of students in the South had begun what was known as the sit-in movement. African American students of Nashville from American Baptist Theological Seminary, the Tennessee State Agricultural and Industrial University, Meharry Medical School, and Fisk University from Atlanta, had all gone to jail on February 27th on 1960 to confirm that they were serious about changing the racial segregation patterns in America. This idea caught on, and within 10 weeks, snowballed into college campuses all throughout the South. Florida A&M College in Tallahassee, South Carolina College in Orangeburg, Morehouse College and Spelman College in Atlanta, AT&T College in Greensboro, Tuskegee Institute and Hampstead Institutes, just to name a few. And they practiced nonviolent direct actions and strategies taught by Jesus Christ, Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., and Reverend James Morris Lawson Jr.
Lawson was a student of divinity at Vanderbilt University. He was at the center of the nonviolent training received by students in the early 1959 through 1963. In Nashville, many politicians and celebrities spoke their outrage to the public media about the student sittings in the South.
The Congress on Racial Equality Corps sponsored a Core Interracial Action Summer Institute in Miami with the express intention of desegregating Miami, one of America's vacation hotspots. James Farmer and Marvin Rich were in charge, and the former baseball star Jackie Robinson was a consultant board member of CORE. CORE chose to invite student nonviolent movement leaders from each of the leading Southern colleges and Northern student activists from Yale, Harvard, and NYU to participate in the Institute.
The Institute was training us in nonviolent strategy. We had to place ourselves in real situations by doing test demonstrations. We tested by going into restaurants and asking for service. While we sat there, we made a mental note on the reaction of customers.
Then we'd go back to the Institute and reported our interaction and role-played. James Farmer and Melvin Rich asked, what were our reactions to the violent, abusive language of heckling customers? Did we want to yell back at them? And what would happen if we did?
We hear a voice on the radio giving echoes of the past.
In a locker room, he alone amidst friend and foe. Some gaze warmly, acknowledging his tonal self. A physically groomed, superior body in cotton-woven white baseball togs. The number 42 is visible. He's moving around, limbering his muscles, his hands and his legs, preparing the ritual of look, see, hear, watch, move, throw, catch, relax, throw, bat, breathe, and run. We hear his voice, not in the distance, but here and right now. He was our first for other men to see themselves through, the first player of African ancestry at home plate of the Brooklyn Dodgers. When he picked up his bat, he was not alone. He had trained in Daytona Beach with the Royals. That placed him in line to be the first African American amongst the Dodgers at Ebbets Field. There in Daytona, he met a presidential advisor, Mary McLeod Bethune. She sent soul food from Bethune-Cookman College to him and his woman, a beautiful, intelligent, caramel-colored girl he had met in UCLA college days named Rachel. Mary McLeod Bethune wrapped a mother's arms around Jackie and Rachel, that they both would know the warmth from the hearts and minds of his people. A Dodger contract was on the table. After 5 years of romance, they could marry and begin their own family. She would be his solid rock, loving him through all trials and tribulations. She would always be there. He would always have his arms around her.
Scene 2.
I'm so glad you've read the news and decided to come out and support us on this hot summer's day. Roy Wilkins of the NAACP, Marvin Richard and I met in New York before planning this institute. We were in agreement about our organization supporting what we begun in the spring of 1960 by Southern College and University students. CORE was founded in 1942 by college students in Chicago while studying the techniques developed by Gandhi of India. Since that time, we came to the logical conclusion that his techniques of nonviolence and direct action could be applied to the struggle against racial segregation and discrimination. In cities scattered across the North, the East, the West, and the South, CORE staged sit-ins in restaurants, stand-ins in front of theaters, and swim-ins at pools. We were getting no publicity at all. No television, no radio coverage. If we were lucky, we got an article in the back page of the Chicago Sun-Times or the New York Times. Since the students have begun this new push in Greensboro and Nashville, thousands of college students have trained in nonviolence, led protests, gone to jail, and called for economic boycotts. Negotiated with various local authorities, merchants in different communities, and the policies have begun to change. Today, 18 students were arrested yesterday on August 14, 1960, for asking for service in a public establishment, namely Shell City Cafeteria. They placed our students in 4 different cells at the Miami-Dade County Jail right above the courthouse. They've been charged with the state statute, ejection of undesirable guests. As we speak, CORE members throughout the community are picketing Shell City and calling for a boycott. Public facilities throughout the South remain segregated, though our people spend their hard-earned dollars in corporations, department stores, drugstores, and interstate travel. This institute is yet another way of keeping up the community pressure on Miami. We will be assigning each of you restaurants to visit and test their serving practices. Some of you may get arrested. CORE will be responsible for legal costs. At the workshops, you'll participate in many role-playing exercises to strengthen you and to give you more mental discipline to obey the principles of nonviolent direct action. We need you to understand that no matter what happens on a test demonstration, you must not fight back or react physically. We are training you to do what you have to do with an open mind and to forgive your enemy who may want to do harm to you. Now let me ask you, raise your hand if you're willing to go into a restaurant, a drugstore, or a department store and ask for service at a lunch counter.
Yep. Yes.
Great. Then let us get to work. Let us begin.
Scene 3.
All you students, you're aware of our policy. We do not serve Negroes in this establishment. It's against the law in the state of Florida. Now, I cannot change the policy. Only white people can eat in this establishment. Now, please, get up from the tables and leave this establishment, or I'll have to call the police. Please, leave peacefully.
We are part of the shopping community and we deserve service. We will not leave. Please let us order.
We will not be treated as second-class citizens when we spend 40% of all monies taken in by the shopping mall. We deserve equal treatment.
Lord knows I don't want to do this. I'm the manager here. Now, you all came in yesterday, and I told you then, as I'm telling you now, Negroes are not allowed to sit down and be served. Now, you may go to the takeout counter and give your order, but you cannot sit down and eat in here. I have to protect my job and maintain the policy. You students you've upset these customers, and you're disturbing the peace. Oh. Police are being called by the owner.
The police were called and they came. All 18 of us, black and white college students, were arrested. We were herded into paddy wagons outside, and then they took us to the entrance of the Dade County Courthouse. They took all our stuff, and then they placed us in jail cells on the 23rd floor.
Scene 4. The next day, Sir John Hotel. The telephone rings in the Congress on Racial Equality's office at Miami Core Institute. It is a hotel room set up like an office. James Farmer is in charge.
Hello, Jim.
Hello, Jackie. Hey, man. How are you?
How's the Core Summer Institute going?
Very hot. The Core Summer Institute, we're well attended. We've tested some 57 restaurants in the Miami area. The majority of them serve us. Yesterday, we had some arrests in Shell City, the new shopping mall.
Yeah, I'm reading about it in today's Miami Times newspaper. 18 students arrested in one misdemeanor? When is the court date?
On Monday, the 27th of August, before Judge George Schultz.
Governor Leroy Collins of Florida said yesterday, the demonstration by integrationists of the Congress of Racial Equality hurt rather than helped their cause. Can you believe these people? What's it going to take to get those students out of jail?
Jackie, 6 students already accepted bail. Core paid it, but 12 of the students are refusing bond and following a jail, no bail policy and student nonviolent coordinating committee. They say they will stay in jail for the trial, the verdict, and the sentencing to force the city of Miami to change its policies. Core is calling for an economic boycott of Shell City and the downtown Miami area.
That charge is unbelievable. Young people seeking service in a public cafeteria.
I can tell you, we never expected such a stiff sentence.
And there's no telling what those white people will do down there. I'm coming down there.
Jackie, that would be great. They're in the Dade County Jail, the tall floors above the courthouse.
I will be there tomorrow. We'll make all the plans from this end. We have to think of what political pressure we can apply on the courts. I will also try and go to that Dade County Jail and check on the welfare of our students.
Thank you, Jackie.
Come here, you won't believe this.
What is it?
You will not believe this. Come see for yourself.
What is it?
It's not what is it, it's who is it.
Ain't that Jackie Robinson? I can't believe my eyes.
Mr. Jackie Robinson is here. He wants to see the conditions under which you students are being held. He's concerned for the safety of you students.
Oh, hello. Yes, when I heard what had happened to you students, I thought the best thing to do was to come and see for myself how you were. Well, how are you? How are they treating you? I, too, have been in jail at different times. Not easy, not knowing what's going to happen to you.
Well, I'm Angel from Fisk University. This is Patricia and Priscilla Stevens from Florida A&M University in Tallahassee.
We feel like we're dreaming.
Hello, we're so happy to see you. You supported us in Tallahassee a few months ago. Thank you.
You say you've been in jail?
Oh, yes. I was arrested at 24 years old for not moving to the back of a military bus. They court-martialed me.
Did you win it?
I eventually won it and was cleared of 6 charges.
Wow. Have you seen any of the other students? Dottie Miller, Libby Holman, Bernard Lafayette, Robert Paul, and the others?
I'm going to all the cells, and I'll see you in court. Don't worry, I'm going to get you through this.
Thank you so much for getting involved. How is James Farmer doing?
Oh, he's doing well. Speaking to your attorneys, organizing for that court date.
We have to move on.
The officer signals that they have to move on. Jackie Robinson takes another look at us, signals that all is going to be okay, and walks away with the officer.
Can you believe who that was?
I can't believe my eyes. That was Jackie Robinson.
Wow, I'm so excited. We must be in the national news. That was the great baseball great Jackie Robinson.
A man like that come to see about us? Did you ever see him play baseball?
Well, we didn't have television in South Carolina, but my dad listened to the games on the radio every week, the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Did your dad play baseball?
Yes, but I only saw him training the
Got
boys.
out of jail in Tallahassee, Florida, after being arrested in March 12th of 1960 for disturbing the peace. We served 49 days of a 60-day sentence for sitting in. Every night before I go to sleep, I thank God that in some small way, I'm able to help those who are denied their freedom and equal rights. I do not consider going to jail a sacrifice, but a privilege. We received verbal and letter support from Reverend Martin Luther King and Jackie Robinson. We founded a new chapter of CORE and our campus. Now we were in jail in Miami, and here was Jackie Robinson supporting us for the first time. What a blessing.
It certainly is a blessing. Jackie Robinson showed up at our trial on August 27th. We were totally amazed at his presence. There he was again. Only this time he brought African diplomats with Yarko Khan, the Nigerian oil president Adolphus Umba, and James Farmer, the court executive.
The bailiff called out, "Order in the court!" And the judge entered and slammed his gavel, announcing, "Court is in session." The clerk then read the charges and handed paperwork to the judge. And when the judge looked around and noticed who was in his court, he definitely changed his view. He even acknowledged the presence of the baseball great with us today, Mr. Jackie Robinson. Our lawyers presented their defense, and the prosecuting attorney presented his. Then the judge went into his chambers for a brief recess while we awaited his response. Instead of sentencing us to the mandatory 6 months in jail, he returned and gave his decision.
The judge, George Shell, said, "Ejection of undesirable guests is now waived, and I am taking the liberty to give these 18 students 1 year, no reporting probation with no adjudication, providing you are not arrested in the state of Florida within 1 year limit." And then Jackie Robinson came over to us and congratulated each one of us on the outcome and introduced us to his African friends. Said they'd be joining us later at the restaurant for dinner. Wow, we were really gonna get to know him.
Witnessed him along with CORE, SNCC, SCLC, and the NAACP.
Jackie gave each of us a beautiful little diary. He wanted each of us to document the various experiences we were having in our different movements. He said,
Now, what you students are doing, this is very important, a very important part of African American history.
Then we said goodbye.
On Tuesday, after our trial, we picked up, off we went towards the north. Felt like Harriet Tubman traveling by the North Star. We traveled back to our homes and we went back to school. We needed to graduate.
We shared the cost. All along the way, signs of segregation stared us in the face. For colored only signs. You know what I mean. Then we obeyed them. Our goal was to reach our different destinations. We made rest stops at different friends' homes along the way, and we had a green book guide.
The years passed, we finished college, and some of us moved to New York. We stayed in touch with Jackie. He helped us find places to live and places to work.
He found me a job as an usherette at Carnegie Hall. I could hear 4 concerts a week with the New York Philharmonic Orchestra, Leonard Bernstein conducting. I had won a scholarship to the Juilliard School of Music.
He and his friends from CORE helped me find a place to live in Bank Street, Greenwich Village.
I met Peggy Thanen from Hunter College, and we organized 13 students and went to jail in Crisfield, Maryland for 10 days on my Christmas vacation from Juilliard.
We were invited to a concert at the Robinson home on Cascade Road in Stamford, Connecticut, the house that Jack built. It was beautiful, on a hill overlooking a river. We met his beautiful wife, Rachel. We met his son, Jackie Jr., his son, David, and his daughter, Sharon.
Miss Rachel Robinson had made some small red aprons, announced us, and said that we'd collect the donations, cash and checks, for the fundraiser. Gee, this is fun.
There were a lot of people there sitting on ground floor.
We all looked at ourselves amazed that just a short time ago we had been inside, locked up in the Tallahassee jail, the Dade County jail, and now we're here in Jackie's beautiful home, sitting out on the grass lawn, overlooking the river, waiting for the concert to begin.
We met Miss Marion Logan and Dr. Arthur Logan, who had helped Jackie and Rachel coordinate the event. Coming from the South, I didn't know anything about jazz. This would be a new experience. I met Jesse Jackson that day too, standing by the porch. He was young and handsome. He had a bushy head of hair, and he was working with Martin Luther King's organization, SCLC.
The concert soon began. The Billy Taylor Trio played. Cannonball Adderley and his brother Nat Adderley played as well.
Dizzy Gillespie blew up his jaws and played his horn.
And then Nancy Wilson stepped out and sang her new sit, Guess Who I Saw Today. She was beautiful and sounded so beautiful. I had never seen her before.
What a great feeling hearing this music.
And with our little red aprons on, people were happy to give. We collected lots of checks and cash and contributions too. I Never Had It Made was the title of Jackie Robinson's autobiography. He said,
No African American ever has it made in America. Becoming a famous person does not make you an exception.
He was an independent thinker, courted by the Democrats, aligned with no political party. He worked with all kinds of people, the NAACP, the National Urban League, the Congress on Racial Equality, and youth organizations and schools. He voted as an independent, and he never registered with the Republican or the Democratic Party, though he worked very closely with Governor Nelson Rockefeller as Special Assistant in Community Affairs in the 1960s in New York. He became, in the years that followed, our mentor. If we had any needs, he said we were to call his office at 425 Lexington Avenue, New York, at 212-682-0500 and leave him a message at Chock full of Nuts, where he worked as the Vice President of Personnel. Jackie was writing columns in the newspapers as well. We didn't know it, but often he was writing about us. Jackie Robinson wrote on December 3rd, 1964 in the Washington African American newspaper the following.
One of the creative byproducts of the revolution is the arrival on the entertainment scene of a unique singing trio, which is known as the Pilgrims. This group, 2 young men and a young girl, has been featured in several important television shows recently. They're profiled this month in Vogue magazine, and they've just signed a contract with Columbia Records. The Pilgrims came into being less than a year ago, when 3 members met, quite by accident, in the studio of Chuck Stewart, a top-flight photographer. They were Angeline Butler, the oldest daughter of a backwoods country minister of Eastover, South Carolina, Robert Guillaume of St. Louis, and Millard Williams of Bermuda. Now, this writer first met Angeline Butler when she was attending the CORE International or Interracial Action Institute in Miami. I learned that this girl, who had such winning ways, had been one of the first sit-in leaders in the Nashville movement. She is a member of the same Central Committee which brought into prominence Diane Nash, James Bevel, John Lewis, Marion Barry Jr., and Bernard Lafayette. Angeline was one of the first students jailed in Nashville. In these initial protests, you will recall, that led to sit-ins all over the land, and resulted in the desegregation of public facilities in scores of communities. When I first met Angeline, she had just been released on bond following a shopping center sit-in. I was so impressed by the strength and dedication of this young woman. I told her that I don't think I would have been able to remain nonviolent under those kinds of conditions in which she and her colleagues had to face. Angeline and her two partners richly deserve the success that is coming their way. Miss Butler is a Fisk music major. She was on scholarship at Juilliard School of Music. During the past year, she was presented as soloist with the Buster Davies Singers on the Bell Telephone Hour and has appeared with Joan Sutherland, Robert Merrill, and Carol Lawrence. As the saying goes, Miss Butler has paid her dues in the civil rights struggle. May she and her singing mates live long and enjoy success as they interpret the music of the struggle for the delight of many people.
The day that Jackie Robinson came to the Herman Ritter School, a special service school in the Manhattan area of the Bronx in New York City. Department of Education had constructed a landmark building in 1929 called the Herman Ritter School. There were children from low-income families, non-working Puerto Ricans, and non-developing American Africans. In the spring of 1972, we were planning to having a program and looking for a speaker. My friend and sister-in-law, Angel, said,
Why don't you invite Jackie Robinson?
I said I didn't know him. And I had never met him.
I know him. I will ask him.
She called and she assured me that she had arranged for Jackie Robinson to speak to the school children. Well, I had very little belief that she could do it, but she did. You see, she was born in Brooklyn. He was born in Brooklyn. I hadn't seen him in the city play baseball, but everybody loved him. Everybody loved Jackie Robinson. Oh, seriously, everybody in Brooklyn was a Jackie Robinson fan. I went about scheduling the assembly program and was prepared to speak myself if he could not appear. Director of athletics, that's what I was. On the day of the security program, about 9:30 in the morning, suddenly there was an announcement on the intercom system.
Attention, attention. Dr. Theda Pickford, this is important. Come to the principal's office immediately. Mr. Jackie Robinson is in the principal's office waiting for you.
I was shocked out of my gourd when I pushed to the principal's office. There he was. He had on a gray plaid suit. His hair was a little bit gray. He had gotten a little bit older, and I went over and introduced myself. I am Ted Pickford, Director of Athletics, and thanked him for coming to speak to the children today. He was smiling, calm. He was quite the gentleman, and I just couldn't believe it. I just could not believe it. I was hammered at the First National Baseball Players League, Brooklyn Dodger. Team manager was president of the personnel at Chock full of nuts and Governor Rockefeller's right-hand man. Oh, affairs liaison and baseball Hall of Fame's famous legend.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm happy to meet you. Now, what would you like me to speak about?
Whatever you want to speak about.
I'd like to speak about drugs and narcotics. The problems that my wife Rachel and I had with our own son, Jackie Jr. The problems that are affecting 7th, 8th, and 9th graders here in our communities and is infiltrating our youth and our society. I'm a volunteer with several organizations working on this.
Do you realize what it meant to see, to meet, to hear and learn to the most famous man I had ever known for him to volunteer time to come to this school and to speak to these kids, not to fail to drugs, and if they did, there were programs that could be used to help them through, to get some help, to speak for about 20 minutes. Jackie Robinson really cared about the people.
The crowd applauds his energies, transmitted through inner communications, sacred to perfect lovers. Warranting success in the next attempt, she reaches his mind as he moves around the green and somewhat dusty field, meditating on the moments to come. He sees her looking to him and feels her saying, "I am with you always." In deep, loving spirit, he thrusts backwards in full extension, relaxes, and in a powerful and lightning motion, he swings in perfect alignment, meets the ball, drops the bat, runs to first base, runs to second base, the crowd is standing, runs to third base, the crowd is standing and shouting, run, 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 home run! Jackie Robinson hit another home run.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of our show. I am Angeline Butler, and I'd like to take a moment to introduce our distinguished cast. We have Jackie Robinson, Mr. Eric Collins. We have James Farmer. I'll have it in my hand. And then, Bazaar Mchawi, our poet, the legend.
There you are.
And I want to thank Willa, who is our production assistant, and Eric Moreland, who actually stood in for many characters for a few days and then now inherited his own. And then we have wonderful lady, Barbara Cassidy, from anthropology. She's a director, playwright. She's everything, and she's been so great. Okay, and Laurel. I'll have it together because I'll have the thing in my hand, okay? Of course. But I want to thank you for coming, and Laurel she's going to open it up for a few questions.
Thank you, Professor Angeline Butler and the whole cast. And thank you to John Jay College of Criminal Justice.